In today's video, I'm going to show you what my favourite cognac cocktail is. This would be my go-to. It's quite simple, but a little bit more labour intensive, or maybe a little bit more labour intensive than a daiquiri, for instance. But oh my God, it tastes really, really good and doesn't half showcase this cognac. Hey brandy lovers, welcome back to the channel. But for those of you that are new around these parts, hello, welcome. My name is Steve the Barman and you are joining me on my brand new brandy, cognac, Calvados, any kind of brandy journey. And I can't wait to get stuck in. This is like week 4 or 5. I've been a brandy lover all my life, but never really deep dive like I have done with rum, for example. So this is what this channel is all about. If you want to join me, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But don't forget, I have got 5 other YouTube channels, 4 dedicated to rum, 1 dedicated to out and out cocktails with syrups. They will all be linked in the description below. Now, for those of you that haven't cottoned on, this is the Mint Julep. And for those of you that don't really know, yes, we do think of the Mint Julep as a whiskey-based cocktail, but it actually was brandy and rum. That's where its heritage from. Yes, whiskey did take off and probably popularised this cocktail, but its history is firmly rooted in brandy. Now, as this is a simple cocktail, this has been around, I can't find like dates where this comes about, but I know kind of 16th century is where this is. As I say, 3 simple ingredients, which will be revealed in a second. Now, back in those times, the spirits that were kind of, distilled fruit, fermented wine, distilled wine was kind of the big thing. Really wasn't whiskey to that certain extent. So brandy juleps were, mint julep was essentially a brandy thing. Now, the whiskey phenomenon took off from where I can kind of gather, took off in the late sort of 1700s, around about 1790, give or take. And then what happened was after the Revolution, in the US, George Washington, who was president, kind of imposed this tax, this duty, excise tax, whatever you want to call it. Now, this was on, on everything, and kind of really inhibited like businesses and farmers and all that sort of stuff. However, in Kentucky, that was largely overlooked. The Kentucky council, government, whatever you want to call them, were kind of, you crack on and you do your own thing sort of thing. So this became a lot of migration happened to Kentucky. And this is where the big whiskey phenomenon kind of took off, because what they have in abundance in Kentucky, and I've never been there, but this is history and books and the internet talking, what they have in abundance in Kentucky is big, open, expansive fields. So what people would do, they would migrate there, become farmers, they would grow rye. And of course, with rye comes whiskey. And of course, because of there was little to no excise duty attacks in Kentucky, whiskey just kind of exploded. And because of its locality in the US, that's kind of where the julep and the whiskey julep, the mint julep, kind of adopted whiskey and everything, because it was just so much cheaper and so much easier to buy whiskey than it was to import your cognac, your brandy from France. So that's how, in modern days, we would kind of think this is a whiskey cocktail. But I promise you, I'm going to big this up. I much prefer it with brandy. I'm going to show you how to make it now. You let me know in the comments below. Would you try this with brandy? Do you prefer it with brandy? Or do you have it with whiskey? Or do you have it with rum? That's kind of what I want to know. How do you associate and how do you drink the mint julep? Right, let's dive in, show you how to make it. So look, as you will see, the mint julep is such a simple and easy cocktail. 3 simple ingredients, your cognac of choice, your sugar and your mints. For me, as I've said, we will talk about this cognac in the very next video, like give it a more sort of definitive outing. But this is ideally suited to this cocktail for me. It's a 45% ABV. It's a little bit, it's young, it's lively, it's fresh, but it's got those sort of honey notes in it as well, from a little bit of the aging in there that just goes so well with the mint. Now look, I'm going to show off a nice flashy glass here, but traditionally this would get made in a julep tin, a julep cup, however you want to call it, like metal, copper, little stainless steel kind of little cup, and they look really cool when they get frosted up, when there's crushed ice in there. This will have the same effects, but I kind of like this because it's a stem. I found this glass, it just works. Anyway, all that is me sort of killing time while I'm picking off about 12 to 15 really decent size mint leaves, all right? About 12 to 15, slightly more than what you would do with a traditional mojito. Now, Bartenders would probably sort of press and use the back end of a bar spoon and just press this in. I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to spank it. I'm just going to slap it just to await the aromas. That's all you really need to do, because I feel the churning with the crushed ice and the liquid that comes in this cocktail will be enough to kind of break that down. Now this will be very much adjust to taste, but I'm going to say start off with 15 ml of sugar syrup. If you think you want slightly more, go for it, but I don't think you do, especially with this cognac and especially with the ice for dilution. And look, Maison Ferrand do say 75 ml, but bear in mind this is a 45% ABV cognac, so I'm just going 60 ml. Now we just want a bit of crushed ice just to get us started. Take a bar spoon and give it a good churn to combine all those flavours and slightly get a bit of dilution from the crushed ice as well. Crown it with a bit more crushed ice. Then we take another couple of decent mint sprigs and we're just gonna garnish on top. Now look, many of you might need just a touch of extra sugar syrup in there. For me, no. If you are potentially going 75 ml, you know that, as I say, it's 45% ABV. If you are potentially following the Pierre Ferrand recipe, then you kind of might want, you know, an extra little bit of sugar syrup, but I don't think so. 15 ml and that is perfect. I like mint anyway. You know, for me, this is very different to a mojito because you don't have that citrusiness in there. Those three simple ingredients, but that cognac with the honey fruit vibes, with the stone fruit vibes, with that just little, you know, little extra oomph in 45% ABV. I rarely ever make a mint julep with whiskey anyway. I do kind of default to rum, but now that I'm in a brandy journey, I actually don't think I would ever make that with rum again. I think if I fancied that sort of minty, sugary vibe, it's 100% going with a cognac. I will be interested to play about with different cognacs, but for me, out of the Pierre Ferrand range, this absolutely nails it. So that's the mint julep. But in the very next video, and I know this because it's already been filmed, I'm doing a deep dive on the four core cognacs, nearly said rum then, from the Pierre Ferrand Cognac House. God, get the words out. Look, just go and watch that video. See you in the next one.